So you've decided to get an MBA and you're applying to Oxford Said. That's a great choice. If you're watching this video, you've probably already got good test scores, great essays, and amazing letters of recommendation. So the only thing that's missing are the interviews and online assessments. What I'm going to discuss on this video applies to both. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of information available regarding the online assessments or the interview. But don't worry, I've been through this before and I'm here to help. My name is Patrick. I'm one of the co-founders at Voomer, an AI-powered interview prep platform. After you watch this video, if you feel like you've got some value from it, please hit like and also subscribe to make sure that you're up to date with all the videos that we're launching about different MBA programs. You might be applying to one of those as well. Now that the introductions are out of the way, let's get straight to it. Oxford Said has two types of interviews. The first one is an online assessment, sometimes called a video response, video question, or video essay, and an actual regular interview. Let's discuss the online assessment first. The online assessment can be broken down into two parts. The first one is the video component, and the second one is the written component. The video component can be further subdivided into two sections: the motivation-based questions and the competency-based questions. We'll discuss those in further detail in a moment. Those four initial questions you have to answer follow an identical structure. You'll be shown a question and you have to answer it. Seems simple, right? But there's a catch. The catch is that there's nobody on the other end listening to your answers in real time. Your answers will be recorded and reviewed by admissions on a later date. The good news, though, is that you'll be shown those questions one at a time, and you have to answer them one at a time. You get a prep timer and a record timer. The prep timer allows you to prepare your answer, and the record timer is the amount of time you have to answer the question. So how do you answer these questions? We're going to use a 3V framework to organize our response here: visual, vocal, and verbal. The visual component concerns your clothing, your background, and even lighting. On vocal, we're going to discuss the tone of your voice, how to use pauses effectively, and microphone quality. On the last V, verbal, we'll discuss how to actually answer the questions. This framework was proposed by famous psychologist Albert Mehrabian, who's written extensively on public speaking and interview techniques. Now, I've got some good news. You can use Voomer, the AI-powered interview prep platform, to work on those 3 Vs and quickly improve your interview skills. When it comes to the background, admissions knows that you'll probably record these videos from home. So don't worry about recording in your living room or kitchen table. Just make sure your background is tidy and you're good to go. When it comes to lighting, you can set up a fancy 3-point lighting system like I do, or you can just get a couple of desk lamps, put them behind your camera so that your face is properly illuminated. That's usually good enough. You don't have to go overboard. In terms of your personal appearance, just pretend that this is a regular interview in an office setting with somebody sitting across from you. That means business casual and having your hair more or less in order. Now let's discuss the second V, vocal. This concerns how you speak, not what you speak, how you speak. When it comes to tone, you want to make sure you vary the tone of your voice up and down. Nobody wants to listen to somebody who speaks in a monotone. And remember, admissions has been watching videos from the online assessment all day, or you are the 30th candidate they are interviewing today. So make sure you vary that tone to keep people interested. Varying your tone also helps to add emphasis to what you want to highlight in your response. Now let's discuss pauses. Pauses are also a great way to add emphasis to what you're saying. Pauses draw in the viewer as they hang on to your words and try and guess what comes next. So 1 or 2 pauses used strategically somewhere in your response is a great way to build interest. Just be careful not to overdo them. Last but not least in vocal is microphone quality. While most computers have a built-in microphone, their quality isn't really the best. Just try and get an external standalone microphone, and that will do wonders to the way you sound. If you don't know someone that can lend you an external microphone, just buy a cheap external one. Now let's move on to the third V, verbal. Oxford Said requires that you answer 4 questions, and those are split into 2 groups. 2 motivation-based questions and 2 competency-based questions. The motivation-based questions are pretty straightforward, and you should know the answer to these by now. Those questions are going to ask you, well, guess what? What motivates you to get an MBA? What motivates you to get an MBA at Oxford Said? Why do you want an MBA now? If you don't know the answers to those questions, you should go back to your essays and take a long, hard look at them, because your entire application should revolve around the answers to those questions. Typical answers usually revolve around a desire to switch careers, have more international exposure, or even a desire to link up with somebody from a more technical course and start a business. The competency-based questions will look at how you behaved in the past under certain circumstances. If you're not familiar with behavioral questions, I've written a pretty extensive article on how to tackle them. I'll leave the link in the description below. An example of a competency-based question would be, tell me about a time you had to deal with an underperforming teammate. The way you structure your answer to that is to split it into 3 parts. CAR, context, action, result. You start by setting the scene, explaining how that teammate was underperforming. Then, in action, you walk through what measures you took to improve that teammate's performance. Remember, admissions doesn't care what actions your manager or other teammates took. They're interested in what actions you took. And finally, result. What were the results of those actions? Did your teammate improve? By how much did they improve? Or did they not improve at all? What actions had to be taken then? That's what admissions is interested in hearing about. So that's how you should go about preparing for your interviews. And the most important thing is, don't freak out. Again, admissions is not here to try and catch you out. They're just trying to get to know you. Admissions wants to see you calm, confident, and collected. And the way to do that is very simple. Practice, practice, and more practice. Voomer is the ideal platform for that. You can record yourself over and over and get instant feedback on your presentation skills. That way you can improve very quickly, and you don't have to rely on expensive MBA consultants or friends that might have better things to do other than run mock interviews for you. I've got one last tip for you: timer control. Timer control is extremely important, and many people lose confidence because of that. But when you break it down, it's actually pretty simple. You want to use your prep timer in a very strategic fashion. You want to write down only 2 bullet points. The first one is how you're going to start your response. And the second one is how you're going to end that response. Well, that's it from me. I hope you got some value out of this. And if you did, please hit like and subscribe to our channel. And remember, you can start practicing for your interviews on Voomer today. Make sure to check it out, and good luck.